Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lizard Brains podcast. My name's Tom O'Gorman. I'm your host. I hope you enjoyed my origin story last week, and we're continuing that this week with my co-host, DJ Alessandrini.
Woo!
Hi, DJ. How's it going?
That felt great from this end. I say we do the next. What episode are we on? The next 214 episodes. With that.
I do the intro.
Yeah.
I bring the hype. Okay.
Yeah. I did the first 213, and now you can do the next 213.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's a nice even split. I like that. A good round number.
Round number.
Clean.
It's clean. Yeah. Everyone knows.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the power of 213.
Before we launch into it with your origin story, how was your week? It's good.
My week was a little chaotic, but this weekend I went to Finger Lakes and
Nice.
Got some redemption. If you remember, the last time I was there was Finger Lakes tour, and the Supra I was driving was did not drive well. So we went back with a different setup, and the car was much better. So I drove a Supra the whole weekend. It was fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
I had a surprise motorsports weekend too. I went to Gingerman last Friday.
What was up with that?
I had kind of forgotten. They mentioned they were going to Gingerman for testing, the Ginetta team that I've been racing in Zenith with. So Clark Camburn Performance. He owns the V8 one. Anthony Pacelli owns the V6 one. And they were hoping to have both, but they ended up only having the 6-cylinder one there. And I also didn't know that by inviting me to come that they were going to have me drive all day. But I forgot they mentioned if you can come, like we're going on this Friday. So they checked in with me the day after we recorded, and I worked out going up there. So I drove like multiple fuel sims basically in the car, fuel stint sims.
Yeah.
We also tested the BFG Rival Plus.
Okay, how was
which
it?
is also like a hot secret of a tire. I think that no one even really knows BFG has a new tire. It was okay. It was about within a second of the Bridgestone baseline wise. And it was actually a little more consistent over the 40-minute run that we were doing in the afternoon. But it was nowhere near as nice to drive. It was just, it doesn't transition from lateral to longitudinal grip very well. And it's kind of peaky in that way.
Interesting.
And I think the longitudinal grip is like exceptionally higher than the lateral grip. I'd be curious to like work with a tire engineer someday and like really learn this, but it almost feels like the default, when the tire like mushes into the ground, or like compresses or whatever, flexes.
Yep.
It feels like when it flexes, the harder it flexes, the more it just wants to grip longitudinally. So it just wants to go straight, and it's really good on the brakes and it's really good under acceleration, but like the transitional period where the car has to, turn was a little bit more difficult to get right. So that's interesting.
The BFG, that Rival, was my jam circa 2017, 2018. That's what I ran on the C Street car.
Yeah.
And the thing that it did better than the Bridgestone RE71R, that's what it was going against, almost a decade ago now, which sounds crazy to me, was that it did multitasking better. So that kind of just shows you how far 200 treadwear tires have came in just like that short period of time, where now that's like the weakness of it. That used to be like the strength. Now, from what I understand, the Plus that you're driving is basically kind of the same thing, except it handles heat better, is what I understand. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, I could basically run the same lap time for the entire 45 minutes is what I found. And it was a little harder to get right towards the end, the second half, but yeah, it looks identical. The tread pattern's the exact same. All of it's the same. So I don't really know what's different, but it was interesting to try that. And then also the other fun part was my one lap teammate from the first 2 years, Steve Loudon, now moved from Chicago to Southern Michigan, which is like on my drive to Gingerman.
Yeah.
To this beautiful lake house in this like Amish/lake part of the country. And I got to visit him and spend an evening and have dinner with them. So it was good. But anyway, enough about me. I was trying to figure out where to start with this because I feel like your motorsports journey is a little less linear than mine. So I want to let you pick where to start, and then I'm going to rewind it if I need to. But tell me, how did you find your way into this motorsports pool that we love to swim in?
Well, so I was thinking also how I'm gonna tell this story, because it is like I didn't drive my first go-kart until I was 26 years old, and that was like shortly after dodging cones for the first time. So it really wasn't like I had a late start. And my biggest regret in motorsports is that I didn't start when I could have. I was like waiting, like I knew autocross was a thing, like when I was 17 years old. My dad, or maybe 18, my dad drugged me to an autocross event and he wouldn't let me drive his car because he was afraid I was going to break it. Which
How did you know about it?
just my dad. My dad had like a older 911 Porsche, and
Okay.
he would go to these like local-ish autocross events, and he brought me to one, and I sat right seat, and we had fun, and like he told me I could drive my Neon if I wanted to. I had a $500 Dodge Neon at the time, and
We had a whole bunch of neon love going on in the Discord the other week. I don't know if
oh
you saw
man, I
that.
missed it. No, I missed it.
We have Taurus SHO people and neon people now,
Yeah, it wasn't as cool
and
as
you're one of them.
people. Yeah, but it was an automatic, and it didn't have air conditioning, and uh, like it had the roll down windows. I would be going down like the highway, and I'm like, ooh, it's getting too hot in here. I have to open up the rear windows, and I don't even think it had cruise control. Maybe it did, but I would like get the thing going so it could coast for a little bit, and I would like lay into the back seat with like one hand barely on the steering wheel, like to undo the back windows. So that's that's how I started driving. Uh, but me driving is just like that's just like part of my competitive journey that is kind of only like half of DJ's origin story, I think, because like the lessons that I brought into driving that I share on this podcast were kind of formed competing in video games. Various different games like Super Smash Brothers and Halo, and then a
Mhm.
little bit of Counter Strike and some Overwatch, but like mostly Halo, which is like for people who don't know anything about video games, it's a first person shooter, um, that's like played on a console, so you're holding a controller. It's not like mouse and keyboard. Uh,
Shoot the aliens.
yeah, well, n- in the campaign you're shooting the aliens, but like in like person versus person tournaments and stuff like that, you're kind of shooting the other humans because everyone's a Spartan. So,
Mhm.
um, that's how I got my competitive start. And I would say when I started competing, I was a little bit of a head case. I would get really nervous. I would lose my temper. I would, I just, I probably wasn't honestly all that pleasant to be around. And I think through Halo and having teammates and just wanting to win, it kind of forced me to be the competitor and the person that I am. And the thing that it did more than anything is it showed me the amount of effort required to actually be extraordinary at anything. And it's such an enormous amount of effort uh, that it's almost hard to explain to people like what's required to become like the 0.0001% of anything that you're actually trying to do.
So tell me the first game slash outlet where you realized you're in a competition, like
So,
became actually aware
uh-oh.
video game. I'm playing a game with my friends.
Hold on. I lost you for the last like 3 seconds.
Oh, sorry. So tell me so when did it click? At what age and what game was it? Maybe did it click that you were in a competitive environment instead of just like playing a game?
Yeah, I mean, even when I was a little kid, like I remember going over to friend's house and they would have a game that like I haven't played and we'd play it and they would beat me. And then I'd go home and like beg my mom to take me to Blockbuster so I could go rent the game. And then I'd be calling up like my friend JJ again and being like, "Hey, you want to like can I come over and play like game day 95 with you again?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, sure." And I've been practicing. So then I would like wipe the floor. Like, but like, cause last time he beat me and that didn't feel bad. And I would see this thing where like they would feel good that they're beating me, but I'm like, I've never played this game before. That's not fair. So then I would go play the game and then I would come back and
Mm,
like make sure that like, I don't know, that I'm the one feeling good this time. And that's just like DJ kid brain, like
yeah.
being in that space. And I like there was this one specific memory where I on the Nintendo 64, I loved Super Smash Brothers for the Nintendo 64. And
Yeah. Who's your main?
Pikachu. Pikachu is my
We're gonna
main.
learn so much about you.
Yeah,
Pikachu. Okay.
yeah, Pikachu. And Link. It was like Pikachu and Link, but Pikachu was like definitely the stronger character. So Jamie Santos, he doesn't know anything about Pokemon or Smash
Neither
Brothers
do you.
64. He was like 6 years old when that game came out. Anyways,
It's true.
actually, it came out like 2000. Jamie, tell me your year of birth. I was probably out before you were alive. So, uh, so I remember Super Smash Brothers Melee, the one for the next console, the GameCube, was coming out, and at the Toys R Us that was like on the corner of like the block that I like the city block that I lived on. We would all just kind of meet up at the Toys R Us, and like winter would stay for Super Smash Brothers Melee. And normally that would be me. Winner would stay. And so I would get to play a ton of Super Smash Brothers. But then this one guy showed up and he played Yoshi and he kind of just wiped the floor with everyone. Just like he did a lap around everyone and he kind of just like decimated everyone. And then he was like, okay, I got to go. And he was like a little older. He was like probably like in high school or something. And we're all middle schoolers, getting freaking trounced on by this adult that just smoked us all in Super Smash Brothers Melee. But I remember feeling this like amount of respect for him because he was just hands down just better than everyone. It's not like, it wasn't like these like kid excuses of like, oh, he's getting lucky or that or his character's better or this. Like it was just obvious that he was just better than everyone. So when Smash Brothers Melee came out, like I went kind of hard into it. Like I played it a lot and I would find real people to play against, and eventually that I don't know when that game came out, maybe like 7th or 8th grade, but when I got to high school it was a lot easier to find people that also played the game. So I had like a bunch of people that I would play the game with, and eventually we started going to tournaments, and then eventually we were holding tournaments, and people from like all over the area would be coming to the tournaments. And that was
Where?
Livonia, Michigan area.
No, where would you hold them? At your house or something?
Oh, I used to be religious until I read the Bible. That's a whole nother story for a different podcast. But it was at like a community church, like youth group kind of thing, and they would let us use their projection TVs, and they had multiple, and so we would have multiple stations to like hold these tournaments, and we would hold tournaments for like the whole local area. So people from all other different high schools that we would never have met, like were coming to these tournaments. And like, it was so great. Like it's all of a sudden, instead of like me, Tim and Corey being like an even match, all of a sudden it was like 12 of us that were like all like basically even, but there was this one guy and I forget his name, but he was like kind of better than everyone. So then me, Tim and Corey and like the other people from my high school, like we'd be training for like the next tournament to like try to get better at this thing, right? So that's like my foray into like intentional practice to try to get better at a thing. And that kind of moved into when Halo came out. It had, I didn't play Halo 1, I played Halo 2, and that had online matchmaking. And right away, you just have this like giant pool of players that you can play against. And there's always somebody better than you. And it was addicting. Like there was always somebody that you could learn from and get better by playing against them. And, it was matchmaking had a little number and it would go up the better that you got. And I would play like the competitive tournament settings, but I was in high school and I didn't have any money. So I like couldn't really go to the tournaments. But then when Halo 3 came out, I just got out of high school. I had a job like working on a golf course and I had some spare money. And so I went to my first tournament, and Tom, I got absolutely destroyed, like big time. But you know what it did? It made like connections with people that were local that were way better at the game. And so I befriended them and then would learn from them, and then we would team up, and then we'd go play through the tournament, and then we'd get beat by somebody else, and then I would befriend them, and then next thing you know, I'd be like teaming up with them, and like just kind of like working your way up the ladder and like learning from all these like way better players. And then at the same time, like learning actually how much it took to actually be extraordinary at that game. And I think if you added up my playtime from Halo 2 to Halo 3 to like basically when was kind of done with Halo, like basically Halo Reach eventually came out, which was the Halo um after Halo 3. If you added up just the time I was playing in games, it was 6 months. So like actually not
Whoa.
sitting in a lobby, like the actual amount of time playing, because I would play I worked on the golf course, so like during the winters I'd be laid off. Uh and so I would play like 16, 17 hours a day. And
Good
then
lord.
yeah, I would just go to sleep and I'd wake up and I'd do the same thing. And I still like I wasn't like the 0.001%, but I wasn't like the 0.0001%, right? Like I was just on the outside looking in, like trying like I would see the players that like have like, documentaries about them and they get like all this press from Major League Gaming, which was like the sanctioning body that's like basically like the SCCA of or Grid Life of like Halo back then. And
Mhm.
I was like just on the outside. Like I would hang out with the players that like were, you know, uh getting like the spotlight, and it's just like it wasn't about the prize money or anything at these tournaments. It was just about like the respect and admiration of your peers, because like we were all trying so hard to be good at this thing. And through like that whole process, I kind of just learned what it was required to like actually be extraordinary at something. And it wasn't just putting in the time like I was. It was like a deliberate, intentional effort on getting better at specific things one at a time. And then you would just kind of add those things to your tool belt.
Can you remember one of those things? I don't care if it's nerdy and I don't know what it is, but can you remember like and describe one of those like tangible,
Yeah, I
oh, I
mean,
work on that and I get better.
well, so a lot of it would be like the way you're communicating with teammates, and
Okay.
like the way you would be working together. So like one of the things that maybe lower level play doesn't have is like instead of just like calling where the enemies are, you're communicating with your team, whether they're like whether you're with them or when you're not with them. So like because they can't see behind them. So if you're with your teammate and you're like pushing down an area of the map, and all of a sudden you like branch off to respond to a call out that you heard, you communicate that you left that teammate so they don't. So now they play it a little differently, since now they know that they're by themselves. So like little stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, the influencing where people spawn in the game. So like when you get killed in the game, excuse me, you would have like a countdown timer, and then you would respawn. Now where you respawn, the game's going to try to put you in like the safest spot possible to spawn, so you don't just spawn and
Oh,
instantly die. But
yeah. My game doesn't work like that. I still spawn and instantly die, by the way.
well, so
My game, I just might have a different version than you though.
yeah, if you understand
Kidding.
how that system works, no, I'm going to explain why you keep dying. Um, if you understand how that system works, you can actually influence the the game to have people spawn in places you want them to spawn. So you can leave sections of the map open that are relatively exposed. You can actually like wait to kill people in sections where you don't want them to spawn. So it puts like a negative weight. So the game goes, well, so and so just died over there. I'm not going to spawn his teammate there because obviously that spot's dangerous. Or you can even like chuck grenades across the map. So like an explosion in that area is like intimate, uh, in,
Imminent, yeah.
imminent. Thank you. Um, where like that will like affect the spawn as well. So like, and there's like, it's not just like death match where you're just trying to get like the first to 50 kills or whatever. There's like other games where there's objectives and those affect spawns, and maybe you want them to spawn here in like a death match, but you want them to spawn on the other side if you're trying to like run the flag across the map. And there's just like there's a lot of like nuances and stuff like that, and a lot of tricks and little glitches that you can do and things that can influence like just like your overall understanding of the game. There's just like a lot of depth to it, and it felt like it felt like it just went forever. Like it kind of like how driving does. Like you never like be like you never get to a point in driving where you go, ah, I learned all the things. Now I'm just like the best. That's not how it works. Like as you learn stuff, you learn that there's more stuff to learn and you just keep going and there's always more to learn. There's always more nuances. There's always, fine tuning exactly like what you're working with and like it's just it never stops. Like it's you're continually climbing, but there actually is no peak. It's just like a forever mountain, much like driving is, right? So
Interesting. So I didn't know that you built first rewinding. I didn't know you had to like basically build your own like community to play together that way. I know you did. I remember from an early episode you talked about Toys R Us, but I didn't know that you then built this like people coming from around the town to come to an in-person thing. But do you feel like it was um what was missing from then to going to your first tournament and getting your butt kicked? Was that also that you just didn't have the gamification of the game?
that, but really it was playing on. So Super Smash Brothers wasn't online. That was the local like tournaments that I was holding in
Sure.
like the
Yeah.
youth group. Halo 2 had Xbox Live. You could play it online. You could play against people from all over the world. So like all
Mhm.
of a sudden like the talent pool was much deeper because instead of like a pool of 100 people, it was, you know, 4 million
Millions, yeah.
people. Yeah. So like I think 8 million people was like the peak of who was online on Halo 3 like at the same time or something along those lines, or maybe when I was playing like there was 8 million copies sold, or I don't know why 8 million like sits in my mind. Um but a crap ton of people played Halo and people were really good at it, and people like were really good at Halo 1 and Halo 2, and all those skills like transferred over, and like they were, I mean, they're still like celebrities in the space. Like the top players, like they're basically set. Like they just kind of have like Twitch channels and they just play whatever games they want, and they still have a following from like back in like the Halo days. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Ninja. He's like
The
multi-millionaire
blender?
from no, not the blender. Um but he's a Twitch streamer, and he's like somebody that I played Halo with, and he he made millions and millions off of streaming to Twitch, just because like like Halo was a good springboard into like just because there was such a following on it. Like it was there was just so many eyes on it because it was like the like console esports game back in like the mid 2000s. uh so uh trying super hard at that is kind of what led to eventually like eventually I fell off of Halo because the the sequels weren't as good as the games that I was playing. It kind of split the base. Like people wanted to play the old game, but some people wanted to play the new game, but the new game wasn't very good, and it just kind of like all crumbled
Mhm.
apart. So uh I was kind of like a little aimless. I like played some Counter Strike, went to some like local ish tournaments or whatever, and had like not really all that much success because I'd never played like mouse and keyboard shooters. It's like a completely different animal. Um, and then Overwatch came out, which is like it's like a role playing shooter like team game, and actually teamed up with some Halo teammates, and we went and won some Intel tournament at Gamers for Giving. And like we didn't expect to win that at all because like online we were getting kind of squashed, and then when we got to the in-person tournament, we ended up like beating all the people that were beating us online. It was everything like just clicked together, and it was actually like that was actually like the last video game tournament I've done, and that was like I don't know like 9 years ago. Um,
That's more recent than I would have guessed.
dude, it every the way that I'm a little bummed that Twitch got rid of its like archive footage because it would be fun to share it with this community that we've built, Tom. But like the
Yeah.
whole tournament was on Twitch, and like we were kind of just like popping off. Like it was like we were like looking at ourselves like, are we doing this right now? Like I can't believe this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
happening. Yeah, so that was pretty
Where
fun.
was it?
It was in oh, I don't remember if it was Eastern Michigan University's like basketball arena, or if it was Michigan State. I don't quite
Okay.
I just remember there was green banners, and I think that's both Eastern Michigan and Michigan State. But it was at a there's a charity called Gamers for Giving, um, and like it was a tournament that they were holding, and Intel sponsored it. It was like a $5,000 prize pool or something like that. So, um, and yeah, and we ended up like winning that thing, and that was super cool. Just because like we just didn't expect it. We were kind of just, and you know what? I literally never played Overwatch again after that tournament. I really didn't enjoy that game, but I enjoyed playing with like my old Halo teammates. Um, but I actually I don't think they really played it after that either. Like we were just playing to like get ready for this tournament, and then when the tournament was over, like we didn't really want to play it anymore. Um,
It's like I said, of course, competizione.
yeah, yeah, kind of, yeah. So, uh, but yeah, so like you know, my competitive background is video games, and during the Halo days, uh, you know, the pressure would be so intense, and like, you know, the you know, we're all just like a bunch of teenagers, so like we would just yell obscenity to each other, and it just felt so aggressive and like almost for the lack of a better word, like violent. Like it was very intense. If
Mhm.
you want like if you want some context, like search up like Halo trash talk montage or something like that, and you'll probably see like something in person or like a
Oh yeah,
tournament or whatever. Um, but like it was very like in game it was like very hostile
machismo.
and and uh like the nerves would get to you. Like I want everyone to imagine like in an autocross grid if people were like freaking in your face yelling, and then like how good you would drive, right? So like that's kind of like the environment that existed, and like I would, you know, I would never admit this back in like the Halo days, but like that I would like my hands would be shaking like as the game started, and I'd feel it in my chest, and I'd feel like the physical side effects of like the pressure. You don't want to let your team down, but also like this thing that you've been working so hard for, and it's like the only thing you've been focusing on, like all comes down to like now, and like you got to do it right, just like how it feels at Solo Nationals, but it was like every game. And I mean, when I first started doing that, like the pressure kind of really took its toll on me. And I would just, if things were going well in the game, I played great. The moment things started to like kind of tilt against, like I would just fall apart. And I realized that like that wasn't that wasn't good enough. Um, so you know, through conversations with other top players and stuff like that, like you know, like vulnerable conversations, uh, found this book called Mind Gym from Gary Mack, and it's
Okay.
like the first couple chapters in that book kind of changed the way I compete. Uh, and what it does so great is it like it takes the it takes like my control over the result out of the equation, and where you just focus on the task at hand, and you can't do better than your best, and like you can try to get your best better like with practice, but whatever your best is right now, that's all that's all that can show up. So it like takes all this pressure away of like oh I gotta win this thing, or like my team's gonna drop me, or like or I'm gonna be made fun of on the internet, right? Because
Yeah.
I can't you can't do better than whatever your best is. So you might as like you just have to let the result go, and just every spawn, every time you respawn, you just make the most of that life and do your best and do it again the next time. And like that's like that completely changed the way that I competed, and I brought that into motorsports. The whole like you can only do your best thing, and like you shouldn't be following the result, because focusing on the result puts too much pressure on yourself, and you're not going to drive better. So that and the 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 amount of effort required to actually get good at something was very much in my mind when I decided I wanted to be good at uh, motorsports, which wasn't right away. I did my first autocross event in 2014. And then I didn't decide that I was like, oh man, I need to get good at this until 2016. So when I first started doing some autocross events, it was just a fun way to have fun with my car. And I wasn't hooked into like the competition. like right away. I wasn't sim racing. I wasn't karting. It was just a fun way to have fun with like this. I had a Civic Si, and I just thought it was a fun car. So this was a way for me to go have fun with my car. Uh, and
That's interesting. So it didn't click that it was a competition right
it's
away, or like it was too foreign to understand that there's classing and timing and competition and stuff other than I get a time at the end and I'm having fun.
yeah, or maybe it was just felt like so out of reach of like, or maybe I just didn't care about it. It's kind of like you go to bingo, you don't like. Maybe this is a bad example because you have no control
I
over
actually
bingo.
yell at people and I tell them everybody that their mom's awful. And what else do people say in Halo?
I can't say it on the podcast, Tom.
Oh, and then whenever I get bingo, I scream boom headshot.
And then people are looking at you and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
I mean, bingo.
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
um, so yeah, I mean, people played Halo without realizing that you could be like in an intense competition as well, right? So, uh, like it was the same. It's kind of the same thing. Like when I started autocrossing, it didn't feel like this like thing that needed to compete. I was just doing my autocross runs and burning tires and like thinking this is great. And I only did like 4 or 5 events in 2014, and then maybe like 4 or 5 events in like 2015. Uh, and
That's still
then
quite a bit. So when did it click?
so 2016, I got a different job to be at home more because in 2014 and 2015, I was probably only home a handful of days. I was in hotels over 300 days out of the year because my
Yeah.
job had me traveling a lot. And during that travel, I had an Xbox One and I had Forza, and I played the crap out of Forza, Tom. I probably put 10,000 hours into Forza. I went nuts. I was chasing leaderboard times, all this stuff. I was like really competitive into Forza. I wasn't doing like any tournaments or anything, but like the leaderboards were like really pulling me in. And then when I went to autocross, it was just kind of a way to have fun in a real car, but it didn't feel like I was like chasing a leaderboard or whatever. Like the lizard didn't get like grabbed onto it. And then I knew I wanted to do more autocross events, but I think like maybe the job was like making it where it's like, well, it's so like basically I would do events when I happened to be home and I could find an event like near me, right? Which was only like NWR and like Northeast Ohio. I didn't even know that Pittsburgh had a region. I didn't know that there was like a Columbus region, or I didn't know. I didn't look. It was like a big secret where all these events were being held, right?
Yeah.
So, uh, when I started a new job in 2016 where I was just home, now all of a sudden I had all these weekends to like fill up with stuff. So I started going to more events, and then I heard that like Pittsburgh had an event at Pit Race, and I've been to Pit Race before. I went there for a track night in America and crashed my car. Like like I knew that Pit Race was a thing. I didn't know they had autocross events there. So like I started going there, and I would get beat by people in B Street there, and I was being told by people at NWR, oh, you should go to the Toledo Pro Solo, and oh, you better sign up for it quick. It sells out, right? And in 2016, I
Hmm.
signed up for the Toledo Pro Solo, and going to a national event is what unlocked people are really good at this. And
Mm.
I also want to be good at this because I remember a specific memory of Dave Marcus driving one of the courses, and I'm just standing like on the edge of the yellow cones. You can't cross the yellow cones, but I was watching people drive. And I remember Dave Marcus, just the cars floating everywhere. He's like an inch off all the cones, maybe even wiggled a couple. And he came through and people were cheering. It was Sunday. People are cheering and high-fiving, and there's just all this excitement because Dave Marcus like put it together and he won the thing or whatever. This is my memory. I
Yeah.
don't know if this actually happened, but this is how I remember it. And I remember thinking, I could do that. Like I want that. Like I want to be that good at this thing. And I think I could do it. I just have to put in the effort. So now all of a sudden I'm like finding an event every weekend. I'm buying the parts for my car that I was just kind of like, does it even matter? So I got like the pinched tires on the the street class car things because before I was just like, that looks stupid and I don't want my car to look dumb, right? So now all of a sudden the way the car looked didn't matter. I just wanted to like go fast, and I like found a Cusco sway bar in like a junkyard for like $30. Um, and Ito was helping me like piece together stuff because he had an S2000, but he was in an STR. And uh, next thing you know, like the people that were beating me at Steel Cities, like I started like taking events from them. I started being a little bit more competitive at like the NWR events. And I remember I wrote at this like, and this was like 2017, but I put this goal tree together. And at the top of the list was like, become national champion. Because I would watch videos. I would watch videos of Andy Smedgard in his B Street S2000 on YouTube and him winning nationals. And I would watch videos of Brian Highcotter. Like, and I remember thinking like, oh my God, that was a perfect autocross run. Now I can watch it and be like, lost a little time there, a little time there, a little time there. But when you're first starting out, like you watch these runs, I would watch the videos of Tom O'Gorman driving this like wild Porsche thing on YouTube. And I would even watch videos of Eric Catil doing like SCCA races in STL. And I was just like full in like the YouTube algorithm, and it's just feeding me all these autocross runs and like road racing stuff. And I'm just watching it and you know, still playing Forza a bunch and autocrossing as much as I could every weekend. And I started doing rental go-karts because it felt like it was too long to wait an entire week before I got to drive again. So I started going to a rental go-kart place. And eventually they told me I should go to the league night because I was trying to get into the 24s. I remember the 24 second, like 24.999 is where all like below that was where all the fast people went. And I was stuck at 25.0, and the owner was there and he's like, oh, if you come to league night, you'll get a 24 guaranteed. And I was like, league night, what is that? And he tells me about it. So now I went to league night, right? But I'm not going to wait a whole week before I go to league night. So I started going on league night and some other point during the week. And I would do the autocross event, and I'm still playing the crap out of Forza. And this is all in 2016. Probably spent close to $3,000 on just rental carts in 2016 alone. Plus like
Was
all
that
the
at Kart to Kart?
autocross. No, that because Kart to Kart's in Cincinnati. I lived in Cleveland. Oh
No,
no,
Kart to Kart's in Detroit. Which
yeah,
one's
Detroit.
in Cleveland?
It was a place called High Voltage Indoor Karting.
Okay.
So they were like electric OTL carts. If you guys, it's like the same carts that what's the big place? K1.
K1?
Yeah, it's like the same carts that K1 uses. So I felt myself getting better at this thing and the driving thing, and like toward the end of the year, I'm like, okay, I'm like doing pretty good. I never didn't win any national events, but I put the effort in 2016 because I got like sucked into it. Because like I said, from the Halo days, I understood the amount of effort that it takes to be extraordinary at something. So I was just like full in it. The Lizard was full in, and it didn't feel like that much effort. It just felt like something I needed to do. It didn't feel like I was like slogging it or like putting in the grind or whatever. It was like I had like an insatiable appetite for this thing that I wanted to be good at. And I would go to these events and see people that were better than me. And I just respected them so much. And I was like, I want to be better than them. And like, then I'm going karting, and I would go to another event and be like, crap, I didn't do as well as I want. And then karting, and then Forza, and you know, and then league night, and I'm watching videos, and I was reading books like Speed Secrets from Ross Bentley, the Ultimate Speed Secrets book. And then I got his inner Speed Secrets, and I was listening to podcasts. And because my job, I would drive a lot. I would drive like 80,000 miles a year. So I'd be listening to like audiobooks about like sports psychology and podcasts about racing. I remember there was this podcast that it necessarily wasn't teaching me anything about driving, because I didn't think the person that ran the podcast was actually any good. But I listened to it because it would make me think about driving as I drove down the road. I would run out of podcasts to listen to that I actually thought I was getting nuggets from. So then I would go to this other podcast where I thought the person was wrong, just because it would make me think about driving, and I would think about the ways he's wrong, and it would like organize it into my head about like, I just needed to think about driving, because I realized that like I can't drive all the time because like I can only do it like once a week. So like I just need to think about it. And so that was like basically all of 2016. And then at the end of the year, it was winter, And I was like, I autocross is over. I'm still doing the rental cart, like go-kart league. And at this point, in the rental carts, I have the track record, both forward and backwards, and like I'm the freaking man at that kart track because like nobody else was doing what I was doing. It was like kind of an unfair fight. Like with the amount of like time and effort that I'm putting in on this like driving stuff. And if you go there, it's high voltage indoor karting in Medina. They have like plaques for each year of who won each season, and you'll see like 7 seasons in a row. It's just my name, just over and over and over again. And the reason why I stopped is because at some point, sim racing seemed like it was the better bang for dollar, and I was getting more out of it. So at the end of
Totally.
2016, Ido Waxman sends me a like a link to, I think it was like Newegg, and it's a Thrustmaster TX wheel, and it was only $300. And I was like, oh man, I've always wanted to get like a wheel like that, but I'm just not sure. Like, I'm not sure if I want to spend the money or whatever. And it's like, like basically said, dude, that's the cheapest it will ever be. Like, you should just buy it. And I'm like, okay, you're right. So I got this Thrustmaster TX. I bought Assetto Corsa like a million years ago because I was like, oh, cool. It's like Forza on the PC. And then it wasn't, and I couldn't drive it on a controller. So it just kind of sat in my Steam library, not able to be used. I think it came out in 2014, and I didn't use it until like the end of 2016 because now I had a wheel. And there was this like Facebook group with a bunch of autocrossers that would chase each other's lap times. People would post up like a challenge, and they'd be like, here's my time. And then in the post, in the comments, we'd all be posting like screenshots of like the times that we set. And that's how I spent my winter of 2016 into 2017, was just chasing these lap times. And me and Ido joined some like league, Assetto Corsa league that we found on Reddit. And I remember the first race that we did, concentrating for 15 minutes. Oh my God, that was such an impossible task. Like I was missing brake markers and like flying off the racetrack, and like it was just so hard. And I remember for the first 2 hours that I set up the wheel, I just crashed the whole time. I never even set a lap. I just would crash every single lap. And at the end of 2 hours, I like finally set a lap time, and I like probably posted in the group, be like, wow, you guys are real fast. Like, hopefully I get better at this. Like just trying, just because I could see the things that I would do poorly in real life, like showing up in the sim, like even like right from the get-go. So I think just in that winter alone, I probably put like probably close to 600 hours into Assetto Corsa, in just like an office chair with the wheel clamped to the desk. It like kind of screwed up my back a little bit because the ergonomics were not great, Tom.
Sure.
And at the end of that,
couldn't have been driving 80,000 miles a year. It was probably the same.
no, it was probably a mix of both, honestly. Because I'd be driving in the work truck, and then I would come home and then sit, and I kind of do the same thing now, but at least I know like the mechanisms of how a back works. So like I have a little bit of a fighting chance to have a functional lower back. So I remember when I got back to the car after the off season into 2000, like from, now it's 2017, I felt like everything was so much easier. Like from when I stopped in 2016, I got back and was like, oh my God, I have all this like extra bandwidth of what's happening. So at this point now I'm like a believer in sim racing. It wasn't just a fun way to spend my winter and like chase lap times and do this stuff. So now I'm like full in, right? So I'm getting a VR headset. I got iRacing because like that's where all the fastest people were. And I went to another national event in 2017, and it was like raining, and I got beat by like a Focus RS in B Street, and I was in my S2000. I was like, I didn't have a chance. Like, that's so dumb. I brought the wrong car to the class. Like, it just felt bad for like my competitive brain. So after that event, like 2 weeks later, I had a C Street Miata. That again, Ido helped me go pick up. We went all the way out to Washington D.C. because I wanted a specific color. So
I didn't know Ido was such an enabler for you.
Oh, dude, Ido's the whole reason for all this, basically.
Okay.
Yep. It's your fault, Ido. And So then I was doing C Street for like the whole year, and um, like I won my first national event like halfway through that year, and I remember when I won it, I you know it felt like a little surreal because it was all of 2016 in the winter, and then like halfway through that year, it was just like and all the karting and everything, and it felt like something that would never happen. And when it finally did, it felt kind of like, did that actually happen? And I remember like the first quiet moment I got, I freaking cried because like it just felt like so overwhelming. Um, that like, wow, I finally did that thing. And then I think that was I think that was the only event I won that year. I think I like coned out some others, and like I was still figuring out like how to do this competing thing in a car. And
Mhm.
there's like so much to learn, and but like I like coned away a win at Escoda. I coned away, I think second place at like the Toledo Pro Solo against like Julian Garfield and like the people that like won or like were on like the podium last year. So I went into nationals, my first nationals in 2017, thinking, man, I could win this thing. I didn't even trophy. I sucked. I was terrible. That I didn't know about OPR. There was like this still so much to learn about like this motorsport stuff. Um, and and like that was fine, but I felt bad after nationals in 2017 because I had these high hopes. So like the thing that I would always do, go ahead.
I was just gonna. I realized say OPR. Describe what we were dealing with,
Oh, gotcha. So on at Lincoln, this is very much like a Lincoln thing. It you think, oh, I
and
know what
only at
OPR
Autocross
is.
Nationals where there's 1,300 people. Sorry,
Yes.
go ahead.
You'll think, oh, I know what OPR is. Like, how could that be that big of a deal? No, guys, at solo nationals, OPR like can literally ruin runs. Uh, there's so much, especially on the BFG rivals, because they have like those large tread blocks. There's so much that can gather on the tire. If you're not cleaning it off, like you'll be a second off pace easy. And I just wasn't prepared to clean it off. Um, I didn't realize it was that much of a thing. I remember my co-driver at the time brought like a tire scraper because he heard that like OPR, like you should try to clean it off. And the battery literally lasted one tire on day one, and then we didn't have any like extra anything or like even a charger. Like we were just like, oh yeah, OPR, yeah, we'll scrape them off as they come. And then like we would come back and you would just hear the OPR like cluck 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 as you're like rolling through the grid, and you're just like, oh my god, like we weren't prepared for this at all. And you know what? Like the competitor in me now, like we would have went to freaking Home Depot. So at least day two, we would have had like, I don't know, a freaking tire scraper that hooks to the car's battery or something. Like, well, we're never running out of battery again. Like, but it's it it's like a slippery slope. It like through my entire motorsports journey, it's just become more and more committed like as time went on. Um, so 2018 did even more events than I did. Go ahead.
OPR is other people's rubber, by the way.
Oh,
Only
gotcha.
because Jamie asked in the chat there. So you just pick it up on your tires, and it's a combination of like sealer between the blocks of pavement plus your own tire rolling up boogers on itself and everybody else's rubber rolling boogers onto your tires.
Yep.
It's like driving through. It's like driving off in the gray line in the gray on a racetrack. It sucks.
But like it sticks to your tire way more at solo nationals than it does on a racetrack. I
Yep,
feel like on a racetrack it's like off in a couple corners. Like it doesn't
totally.
just stick around until you do something about it. It just stays on the tire until like you scrape it off with a oscillating scraper
Why do you think autocrossers call it OPR and track drivers call it pickup?
or marbles.
Marbles.
Uh
Autocrossers are dorks. Anyways, 2018. Go ahead.
so anyways, I felt bad. I felt really bad after my performance at nationals, not even getting a trophy, like just way underachieving, not being ready for this or whatever. That when the off season came around, I just like doubled down on the sim racing. Like the only thing I can do when I feel bad is like if it just feels like I need to get to work. So like that's what I did. I went nuts on iRacing, and was in a bunch of different leagues and did a million official races, and just tried to be as fast as I can. I'd like completely lost myself into iRacing over the winter. And then when I came back in 2018, I remember I went to a Charlotte event and somebody who beat me pretty handedly the year before, Andrew Plata, like I ended up beating him at the first like national event, and uh, and that trend kind of continued for like all of 2018. I think I only lost one event, and that was to my co-driver um, at a Skoda, the Skoda Pro Solo, and in my my excuse even 8 years later is I had a crazy week at work and I showed up super sleep deprived. I don't think I would have lost that event if I had like some resemblance of sleep. And
Did you
my
know that at the time?
yeah, I was exhausted. Like that's what my excuse was then, and I'm still holding on to it 8 years later. Damn it. Um, but I went into nationals like in my mind again like the favorite, but I was focused more on like I was trying to be focused more on the task, trying to remember like the things that I learned from Halo and stuff like that. Um, and if you remember 2018 nationals, it was like a flood. Like it rained
Yeah.
so much. There was just standing water everywhere. I have pictures of my car from that event where I swear my car's probably in there somewhere, but it just looks like a wave because like there's so much water and I'm like driving through like a lake that the wash is completely covering the car and you can't see it. So I think after day one, I was like fifth. And then day two, it was drying conditions. So only the last run mattered. And I remember after like the second runs, I was in the lead. Uh, it, at least at one point, because I came across the line and they're like, "Oh, DJ to the top," but I knew it was only like the third runs, and I was too nervous. I screwed it up. I literally off tracked. I like lost track of where the cones were and like just like off course. And so again, I felt really bad, like really bad that I just like threw it away like that. So like the only thing I could do was get to work. So like I like doubled down on iRacing even more, and I was just going absolute town. I remember time I would Grid Life, which like I didn't really know that much about, but like I listened to the Slip Angle podcast, so like that's how I knew it existed. Uh,
By the way, this is all pre anything wheel to wheel in grid life. So it was literally time attack and HPDE at this time,
right.
2018.
So uh, they had like an iRacing league, and they would hold practice on Mondays, and also WDCR, the SCCA league that I would mostly participate in, also held practice on Mondays. And I remember I would just I would jump from this server over to the other server, and I would just try to like my goal on Monday was just to have the top time in practice in like both of those servers. And
Sure.
because the practices were going on at the same time. So I would like set a time and then jump over, and then I would come back and make sure I still had the top time. And like that was Monday. And then Grid Life had the race on Tuesday, and then WDCR had the race on like Wednesday. And like that was like the first like half of my week. And it WDCR had this announcer uh, named Kyle Heyer with SimTV, and he did such like a great job. And I'm like beating up on all these Grid Life guys, all these like real life racers, like in this iRacing thing, and like nobody's seeing it. So I'm like, I gotta do something about this. So I like reached out to the like the admin group and was like, hey, you guys should hire this person to do the thing. And they like kind of like shooed me away. They're like, yeah, whatever. So I hired Kyle to broadcast the race just like on my own. And then so we broadcasted the race. I shared the link all over like the Facebook page that was like at this point it wasn't like Grid Life iRacers. It was like Track Midwest like iRacers, but it was like
Midwest iRacers. Yeah.
yeah, but it was like it was Grid Life basically. Um so I hired Kyle. He broadcasted the race. Everyone loved it so much. Now all of a sudden I got invited to like the admin group, and like that's how I ended up running eventually Grid Life iRacers, which I'm sure like a lot of the people that listen to this podcast like probably met me through that is like that like because you know I ran the league for a while, and then me and you ran it, and then like that's how I ended up in is because I was like, man, somebody's got to see all this like ownage that's happening over here. So I hired Kyle. Um,
And he's humble.
I'm not. Um, so yeah, so I like 2018 into 2019, I was sim racing a ton, and I was like meeting these Grid Life people, and like they were all super cool, and I was getting along with them. And then the SCCA stuff with the iRacing, and I was still doing a ton of officials. Um, and then at one point, somebody in the Grid Life iRacer admin chat sent me a link and said, "Hey, you should apply for this." And I clicked on it, and it was somebody trying to give a race car on Road Race Auto X, the forum. Um, I know you're not supposed to talk about it, but I feel like the forum's like almost dead at this point. So
Yeah, who cares?
yeah. um, so I applied for it. I got the help of Rob Wilkinson, and me and him actually both applied to it. Like we were both gonna like both drive the car because I couldn't really afford to drive it on my own. So I thought if I shared it with Rob, then like maybe it was feasible. So me and him put like this like application together for the car, and it was like a page long, but we must have spent 4 or 5 hours on it. What's up?
Well, his post was, I'm sorry if you said this, but I didn't catch it like enough. He basically said, "I want to give it away, but it has to be worth, like, you have to sell me on it. You have to make
Yeah.
it a business pitch and like make it worth my like moral duty to pass along motorsports to somebody else who's like really gonna. I'm not just like giving it away. You got to sell me."
Right.
So that's what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Thanks, Tom. I missed that detail. So I'm putting in an application for this race car, and while I was autocrossing and doing iRacing, like I really liked the racing aspect of iRacing, and I was like, someday I'm gonna go race a car for real, and I don't know how I'm gonna do it because like I don't have the money to, um, but like I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna get there, and I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I'm gonna get there. And I always like part of like one of my goals is like if I win nationals, then it won't be a waste of time or effort to go road racing. That's like what I decided on in my head. And then after 2018, I was like, you know, the people that won, I was beating all year, and I just happened to not win that one event. So like this like barrier that I set in my head, like it doesn't. I can lower that barrier down because like I don't think I'd be wasting my time or effort or energy or money by going wheel to wheel racing. I think I've shown that, like, at least to myself, that I am capable of like competing at a high level in a car, right? Like that's where I was at. So from 2018 to 2019, I was already like planning on selling my C Street car. I was planning on co-driving more. I was planning on saving money to eventually get a race car. And then this potential free race car came by, and it just was the perfect timing of like, wow, if that worked, that'd be cool. But I never like expected to win the thing, but I put the effort into the application of it. And I did my best to, put my passion for motorsports and competing on like a single piece of paper. And 2 weeks after I submitted it, Peter Lear gave me a call and was like, "Hey, my condolences, and I'm very sorry, but I'm giving you the race car." And I was like, "Oh," I remember I was at work. I had to sit down. I like sat on the ground. I was like, "Oh no, that's crazy. I can't believe that's happening." And he's like, "No, hurry whenever you can. Like, just come down and like pick it up or whatever." And so we planned a weekend that you were also racing at Daytona. Oh, by the way, I met Tom in 2017. I was a huge Tom O'Gorman fan. I went up and like nervously talked to him and asked him all these questions about like eventually going racing for reals and like what helped him. Was it the autocross? Was it sim racing? Was it karting or whatever? And Tom, the answer you gave me was sim racing. That like sim racing was like the most beneficial thing for you to go racing for real. Um, so that like that part of that conversation helped guide my efforts. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I glazed over that a lot last week, but I had a good decade of like hardcore video gaming slash racing games before where last week's story starts really. But
Yeah,
that's why I gave that answer because I knew it built the foundation for me too.
right. So so like that you know that guided my like where do my efforts go, and because I knew that this like racing wheel to wheel thing was like an eventuality that I wanted to do, right? So uh I went and picked up the car. Me and my dad drove all night. I was too excited to sleep. So we literally just drove all night. We got to your race in time to watch you win Daytona in a TCR car, and that was super cool. And we hung out for a little bit, and at this point, like we were friends, but like we weren't like close friends at this point. Like you were just like this super freaking cool dude that like for some reason would talk to me. Like that's what Tom was at this point to me. Like we didn't really become like friends until we were hanging out a bunch, chatting like during COVID, right? Um,
I remember
oh,
you coming to the kart track a couple times. I remember you coming down for a local and staying at my house. So I would say we
two,
were like autocross
2019.
friends,
Well,
but
but then also
yeah,
2019 because I was like adopted into the Eric Catil, like Tom O'Gorman friend group, so like we became better friends then and stuff
yeah,
like that.
correct.
But until I got the race car, like you were just
We
somebody that
looked
I
down
would.
on you.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
So before I got the race car, it was kind of like it was, oh, if Tom's at an autocross event, that's cool. I can go hang out with him. But like that's kind of like where our friendship's at. Um, and so I got the car. But unfortunately, I was still broke from like the season before. So I did like the thing that you should never do. And I literally pulled out a personal loan to race this car because I told Peter that I would race this car. And then I had the car, but I didn't have any money. So I pulled out a personal loan to like get the car ready to go racing. Now, when I decided, like I had the car and I was like, okay, I have to go racing something. And Grid Life was just getting together like their GLTC like idea and like the rules and all that stuff. So I was looking at the rules for GLTC and like the rules for like STL for SCCA. And I would have to spend so much money for the car to go slower to run STL. Uh, and then Grid Life was like, oh, literally the car's at power to weight already. I just have to like remove the passenger seat and like some other stuff in the car. And I got a competitive car. So I thought. Um,
Hmm.
so my my first time on a racetrack was, well, my very first time on a racetrack was that Track Night in America where I crashed my car. I don't count that as like
Sure.
I don't count that as like first time. My next first time on a racetrack was in like a SCCA time trials that I did in my Miata, where I think I was the only person in my class and I was kind of bored. Um, my third time on a racetrack was comp school with that race car. And I remember sitting in the classroom and they're going around the classroom and they're like, oh, we're going to go around. There's like 30 of us in there, maybe 40. It was a lot of people. And they went around and
That's a
every
lot.
single person would say like what their experience was. And somebody's like, oh, I've been doing HPDE and time attack or time trials for like 7 years and blah, 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 that and this. And like everyone just had like so much experience. And then they got to me and I'm just like, I autocross and I drive on the simulator. And then like people are looking at me like, oh my God, like this dude's totally gonna crash this car. And honestly, I went into that weekend kind of expecting to crash the car because didn't have that much experience on a racetrack. I was just kind of like surely this car is just, and I came from iRacing, which Tom can attest to this. Like it's a little
You do crash
unforgiving.
a lot.
You do crash a lot.
You broad, Royal you. Everybody crashes a lot in iRacing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I typically don't crash that much in iRacing, but it's so much easier to crash in iRacing than it is in real
Yeah.
life. And at that point, I didn't know that. I was just kind of like, man, there's no way like I make it
Huh.
through this weekend, but like this will be fun.
That's interesting. You were prepared for that and had thought of that.
Yeah, I remember talking to Kenton Cook about it, and he's like, "What? You can't go into the weekend like that?" Like he was like,
Sure.
yeah. So so yeah, I did comp school, and then a week later was the first GLTC race at Mid Ohio, and that was my fourth time on a racetrack. And yeah, and then next event I had like a
I think
diff
I
in the
remember you
car, and
were. It was Lichty, Catil, and Rob Manishari, and then a gap, and then you, and then a gap. No, a gap, and then Dave Montgomery, and then a gap, and you were the next car, and you were like leading the rest of the field that whole first weekend. Is it? Do I remember that right
yeah,
correctly?
I was like fifth to fourth, and not really racing against anybody for the first two races, and then I cut a tire,
Yeah.
and then I had to put old tires in the car, and then I was in the shit. like behind.
That's
And
right.
yeah, and then it was like absolute chaos. But you know what, Tom? I freaking loved it. And it just
Yeah.
felt like everything in iRacing felt like it, like when I took the green flag, it didn't feel like my first green flag. It felt like I've done this so many times. And the way that the cars are going to interact with each other and the way that the racing is going to play out and the way that I just saw it all. Like I've seen it hundreds and hundreds of times because I did. Like there was nothing that like really caught me out except when cars would get like really loose in front of me and I just expected them to crash because iRacing. Uh and then they would save it. Like that was the only thing that I was like, "Oh crap, I lifted again," and they didn't crash. And it's like by the end of the weekend it was like, "All right, the next time somebody's crashing, quote unquote, in front of me, I'm not going to lift." And then then that turns into me having a run on them instead of like, "Oh crap, I waited for them and now like I'm still behind them," right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that was like my biggest takeaway of like the biggest difference between iRacing and like the real life, but everything else like was just so one to one. So, and you know the other thing that like really helped my driver development is with the wheel to wheel racing and all the cars being like remotely even ish, like same power to weight. When you would make a mistake, you would see exactly what it cost because the car would just leave you a little bit. Or if you would do
Sure.
something well, you would see the car get a little closer to you. So that instantaneous feedback was like super crucial to my development as a driver because I got that feedback of what was fast and what wasn't like immediately while driving the car. Like even in autocross, like you do the run and then you come back and you look at the data, like compared to somebody else, and you're like, oh yeah, that one section, oh that was, that was a, oh I thought that went well, but apparently it didn't, right? But you don't get the immediate feedback of like the sensation I felt in the car to what it actually equaled out to, that gap that's in front of me or maybe even behind me, right? So I remember thinking like, wow, this is really good for like my development as like becoming a better driver. And so then COVID hit and we all really didn't know what was going on with that. And I remember I did some off-season upgrades, which was changing my seating position and putting shocks in the car because I realized that the shocks were blown. Um, and my I missed the first couple races of the season. I was still kind of a little sketched up by COVID. And also like, money's tough. I still had to pay off that like personal loan that I pulled out the like year before. But dude, at this point I
That's
was
so
like,
crazy we both did that. I didn't know that you did that too. Which,
yeah,
by the way, my dad is the one who gave me that idea. Great parenting, Dad. Just kidding. He listened last week and he's like, "That was my idea."
I
But I remember that you splurged a ton for those shocks because you had Conies that were terrible and you got MCSs, and that's why I think I remember you being like, "I can't race anymore this year because these shocks are too expensive."
that
But it
and
made the
also,
car really good.
well, it fixed the car. I didn't realize that it was broken. Like I would literally, when I had the shocks, the Coney shocks off the car, I would push it down and then it would just stay down. And I could just like push it with like fingers. And then one shock it would like push down like really easy and then it would get like seized. And then you couldn't push it down anymore. It was like like something was broken inside of it where like if it got to a certain amount of travel, like it would just stop. But then if you like hit it on the ground, it would get past that point and then just like squish down too easy again. Like they were completely broken. So I did like a whole season, all of 2019 on like actually broken shocks. And but here's the thing, Tom, I never drove a car with like coilovers before. I didn't know what it should be like. Like the first car
Sure.
that I was driving with like any significant time rather than like a couple like fun runs in somebody's car was that race car. Like I had street class experience before that. I didn't know what a car on coilovers should be like. So I just thought, man, this thing's really unhappy if I charge the corners too much. So that was making me like be super accurate on the corner entry so I wouldn't get this like huge hop and this oscillating bounce that would like try to
Yeah,
throw
it
me
was
off the
crazy.
racetrack, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I put the MCSs on it and my first race weekend was Mid Ohio and uh and I remember during practice, and I've told this story on the podcast before, I figured out where I should brake on the race starts because I had the experience from last year, and like everyone just kind of just braking all over the place because nobody knows where to brake for turn one. So I figured that out in practice, and I was like, "This is going to go well." I qualified like third or fourth or something like that, and So I figured out where I should brake for like a rolling start down the back straight at Mid Ohio. And the race started and I went and everyone hit the brakes. And then I hit the brakes where I figured I could brake. And then all of a sudden I was in the lead. And I held on to the lead for the whole time. And I actually won like my first race of 2020 in my Civic. And that was like my first GLTC win. And Tom, just like in 2017, when I won my first national event in autocross, I freaking cried. I cried on the way in just because like it just felt like that was never going to happen. But then all of a sudden here it was and it happened, right? Um and and then I remember the rest of that weekend where I didn't have rain tires and it was raining and I like fell back to like 20th place and
Yeah.
it felt bad. Uh, Another highlight from that weekend was we did the me and you had an idea for the top 10 shootout. Remember us pitching that idea to
Yep.
Grid Life? Yep. And I actually won the first shootout, which was super cool. And it's still like it's still on YouTube somewhere. Sometimes I go back and watch it.
Hmm.
Just because I remember when I came back because I won race one, so I didn't. I went last uh, to like whoever would do the shootout. And I remember I was pretty happy with my lap, but I came back but I have no idea where I ended. So I like pull up in like the pits and everyone's sitting on the pit wall and I get out of the car and I like asked Eric, I'm like, how did I do? And Eric goes, oh man, what happened out there? And I'm like, oh shit, was it bad? And he goes, yeah. And everyone's just shaking their heads like, man, you really fucked that up. And then at some point it's like, nah, you got first. And I just remember being like super excited about that because I
Yeah.
didn't know. And then, they like properly messed with me like in the best way possible. But yeah, that was, but I always ran against like the budget problem. Like I didn't want to do a race on old tires because I felt like anything outside of like the top 10 was kind of dangerous. And I couldn't afford to fix or replace anything on my car. So it was like I could only do like 3-4 race weekends a year. So that's what I did in 2020. And it was kind of the same in 2021. Zach Lavoie helped me with some tires in 2021. So I got to do like a little bit more races, but also I was like losing a transmission like almost every weekend. And that's like, it was like
Yeah. That
$1,200.
got crazy.
Yeah, it was like $1,200 every single time the transmission exploded on top of like the tires and all the other costs to go. And I remember I was like $15,000 in debt like after the 2021 season. And
Jesus.
on the last race of the year, I was in the car while it crashed at Road America. So
In the car when it crashed.
yep. So now the car was dead, and my free race car was dead, and I was super super broke, and but I learned a lot in those 3 years of driving GLTC. I became a way better driver, way more comfortable, way more confident in my just ability to drive on track. Like I didn't feel like crashing was imminent. It felt like almost impossible, even after I was in the car when it crashed. Um, and like I felt so comfortable in the wet, all this stuff, right? So, but after 2021, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I didn't really autocross all that much in 2020 or 2021. So I kind of like fell away from autocross. And like the autocross, the community, it kind of like cycles. Like you have the people that like are stuck there, but then it kind of like cycles through. So like there was a lot of new faces in autocross that I didn't like entirely know. Um, and I didn't feel comfortable like asking for co-drives or anything because I just felt like I was so like out of the loop with everything that was going on that I wasn't sure exactly how I was gonna go racing again. And I had intentions to fix the car, and um, and then I got a job with a pretty big pay cut. My current job was like kind of hurting me a bunch, and I got like a bunch of off paper promises from the new job, but it was like a $25,000 pay cut. Uh, and that really put a damper in my ability to like go racing. And the person who saved me and kept me relevant was Peter Schnorr. And I don't know if he knew like the implications of when he just like reached out and invited me to come drive his SSC car with him. But I was looking at like, man, is motorsports even going to still be like a feasible thing for me? And the SSC car worked because Peter let me keep all the Falcon contingency. So, like, if I did well in the event, then the event was basically paid for. And at this point in time, I was kind of like, you know, holding most of the bills in the house up. Uh, we bought a home in 2020. Um,
You're
and
describing 2022 right now.
right, I'm in 2022.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So I wasn't sure like how I was gonna like keep competing, but Peter threw me that lifeline of driving the SSC car. And I remember when I first started driving it and like the autocross stuff and like, having to work course and stuff again like that, like I felt like I was a little spoiled. Like I was spoiled from GLTC, like in like racing and then being on a racetrack. Cause like the cool factor of like racing GLTC was like way more than autocross, right? And like I remember like just being kind of a little bit bummed about that. But then it was like the first event that I lost. I think Michael Furchak beat me, and I was like, "Oh, actually, no, I don't want to lose." That felt bad. And then like I was like full into it again. But like I remember like
Sure.
before we had an event, I think it might have been a national event where it was like, "Oh crap, like nope, actually, hold on." It like snapped me out of my funk. I was like, "No, actually, nope, I don't want to lose. Like I got to like keep like digging into this and like dust it off iRacing and like kind of just kept going at it. And then I'd still get to drive
Hmm.
on racetracks just from like people let me drive stuff like Peter and other people. And then Peter Lear reached out again, different Peter. I got two Peters um, about doing one lap, and that kind of unlocked like driving faster cars and at some point like fixing the race car just like seemed not worth it because I was driving so much. I was driving more than I ever have. And now we're kind of at where I'm at now, where I'm in a lucky position where I'm driving a lot, I'm competing a lot, um, and I I love motorsports now more than I ever have, and that's kind of my origin story.
Nice. I had a question. I just lost it in you closing that out about. Oh, I don't remember you sharing necessarily that you felt the quote unquote downgrade at the time. I remember I remember you were in a position where like I can only really autocross because I'm co-driving and the events can pay for themselves if I do a good job. Like I remember those aspects of it. I don't
Yeah,
remember you ever sharing that you felt like it was a downgrade until it kind of came back, right?
right.
That's
Well,
interesting.
yeah, I mean, and I obviously was going to keep that to myself because now this is like the only motorsports that I could do. But you know what? Like, I think I've gotten to do some GLTC races since the race car was crashed, and like, yeah, it is a good time, but I still like I think a mix of all the things is like the best because
Totally.
like the rawness of the competition of autocross is really really hard to beat. Um and just like the intensity of it is like super super hard to beat. Even compared to GLTC racing or some other stuff. Um, it's it like I said, I've never loved motorsports more than I do currently. Um, and it's I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it like stopping like literally anytime soon. I feel like I'm more committed to motorsports now than I ever have been ever. Um, at the detriment of everything around me. Uh, motorsports. It's like it's definitely my number one priority. I just get so much from it.
Yeah. I think I felt something similar. Uh, in 2020 going from like IMSA driver on Honda's payroll to like floundering with my own broken shit ass race car outside the top 10 in GLTC.
Yeah,
There were some flashes of that like downgrade is a connotation, but I mean it as a
it's a hard way
denotation.
of putting
It's
it, but that's how you feel.
it was a lens in the moment, but then I remember realizing it happened really fast. I remember realizing how absolutely incredibly impressive it was that people like everybody else is doing that too. And many of them are doing it better than I am. It made me zoom out and realize that for even autocross events, like this is so freaking cool that there are so many people that are pushing and performing at the top
Yeah,
level and like it's literally the same. It's not a downgrade.
it's not.
It's not a like compromise. Like the level of competition was the same across the board. And when I realized that was kind of the reason I stopped chasing pro racing because it I realized it didn't fucking matter. It's just someone told everybody it mattered, and that's why it has extra zeros at the
Yeah.
end.
Yep.
Um,
Now
so
I
that's
would still go
cool that you
do
felt that too.
I would still go do it because
Yeah,
it would be
totally.
fun. Yeah. I mean, like that sounds pretty cool, but like if I was doing like let's say all of a sudden I'm driving GT4 cars and it's like 10 weekends a year. I would still have 40 other weekends to fill and I would be doing autocross events and shit. Like there's no way I would just be like hanging around doing nothing because now I get to race GT4 cars or whatever. No, like
Yeah,
I'd be filling my calendar would still look the same. There would just be like some like pro racing like mixed in if like all of a sudden that
right.
like that started happening. But like so like my events would look a little bit more diversified, but like it would still look the same. I would still be trying to fill every weekend with like some kind of event and finding like midweek stuff. Uh yeah, I would just be it would be exactly the way it is now. And it's just this like and I feel so lucky that I have found something that for more than a decade I've been able to just completely throw myself at and and I love it more now than I ever have. And I don't know how many people can say that about anything. Uh so I feel very very lucky that I found my thing and the thing is maybe maybe it took me until like 2016 to like figure out that it was my thing. Um so I floundered with it for like 2 years just turning tires into dust. Uh, but once I like noticed it was my thing and started digging in and like got a taste of what it's like to compete in motorsports, I knew. I knew it was my thing and like whatever effort I was putting into it was worth it. Cuz it felt I mean, this like motorsports is the most fulfilling, rewarding, exciting thing. It's the hardest thing that I've ever done and I love it so much. It's just and I would do any part of it. Like let's say 20 years from now, uh, all the asphalt is dead and cars are no longer around because we just jump in pods that we order on our phones. I would still be racing something. Maybe it's just on the simulator. Maybe it's go karts. Maybe it's like rally cross type of things or like
Scooters.
freaking like yeah, I would be racing scooters. Well, maybe not in 20 years. They might hurt me, but um, I like I racing a car uh, is just so wildly rewarding, no matter the format of the motorsports. That I'm gonna be doing this till they literally tell me to go away, uh, and then I'll just find another organization that has to figure out that maybe I shouldn't be on the racetrack until they tell me to go away. So, like, yep, that's yeah, that's it's just so great, and
Yeah.
the podcast has been a great vessel to kind of share the journey, and also the podcast has been great to become a better driver as well. Like having this podcast has made me a better driver because it's forcing me to think about the things that work for me and don't work for me and might work for you, and it has this whole conversation about motorsports and self-improvement and like the whole community uh like has brought has improved my driving because of the vigorous discussions and the sharing of ideas. And it's just me and Tom talking into microphones, but like every single person that I've coached or I had conversations with in the Discord, like I take away all of those things and conversations and all that adds to my driving and my competing and my trajectory with motorsports and yeah, just taking it all in.
Yep. I agree. Well, hopefully these past two episodes have been good for if you know us now but didn't know us then, or you kind of know us now parasocially but you don't really know why. All of these stories, I don't know. Maybe you pick something up. Maybe something made you laugh. Hopefully that was fun. We'll be back to regular programming next week. Is that what we call it?
Yeah, sure.
Regular programming. What are you doing this weekend?
I'm going back to Finger Lakes. It's gonna be my last event in the CST car before Solar Nationals.
Oh, okay. How many weekends is that? I guess that's only one weekend between, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, it's coming up.
Damn, it's coming up fast.
Yeah.
By the way, we are hosting a party at Solo Nationals for sure. We can finally announce it. This is like a soft announce, but there will be more about it. We are co-hosting a Mario Kart party at Solo Nationals on the site, co-hosted with Grassroots Motorsports Magazine, and we'll have some Nintendo Switches, and it'll be Thursday night after the track goes cold. So unfortunately, I know some people will have left by then, but plan for that. And then this weekend, what am I doing? Oh, I'm racing SMX this weekend. I'm racing at Barber in Spec MX5 with SCCA this weekend, and also commentating.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you when that was because I know it was coming up, and I realized that I could have just looked up when Barber Motorsports is on the calendar. But that's fun. Did they figure out how to give you a microphone while you're driving?
We have like 3 plans. We have plan A, plan B, plan C.
Yes.
So
Oh
I
my
think
God.
I will be in the car commentating, or at least they will be able to talk to me for like a check-in.
Yeah.
So the reality is, I am expecting almost nothing out of this, simply because we have 60 cars in the race group with Spec Miata and Spec MX5 combined.
Okay.
So there's a very real possibility that I will do like absolutely no racing except for like 2 corners. I'm expecting that, but that also means they're just going to be like, Tom, what's it like out there? And they'll cut down to me, at 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you missed it, basically Mazda reached out and said, we've been watching the broadcast this year. Spec MX5 is pretty new, and we know you race. You're a racer, so we have this like idea to have you as the commentator racer of the class race the class, so you can like talk about it better, more, like get in and like hands on with it. I literally can't believe, like, I mean, that's like a 5-figure investment to let me do this or to like execute that idea. So it's crazy to me too, but I'm very grateful. I'm excited. It'll be on YouTube, SCCA's YouTube channel, Liam, and it just runs all day. So I'll be commentating. I'm group 3. I'll be commentating group 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'll be off to race in groups 2, 3, 4, so I can race in group 3.
I'm gonna have to tune into that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to tune into that. Can you do like an everyone in the Discord before like you jump in the car?
I totally will. Also, like legit, if everybody bombs the stream and there's like a proof of the spike
Yes.
for people watching and there's like chatter about it, that sells them on the idea. That makes it worth their while. So like that would be really cool.
All right, Tom, if you post the link and the at everyone when you're about to go in Discord, I'll throw it on Facebook for you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I'm off Facebook. It's so nice. It's been over a year. I don't even think about it even a little bit at all ever.
I was
great.
shown how to only look at your friends feed instead of just the algorithm. I didn't realize that was a thing. And it has brought Facebook back to contention of usable again.
That's
so
good.
yeah, when it's just the home and you're scrolling and you're like, who are these people on my feed? And like, what is this? Nah, that version of Facebook, gross, dead to me. But if you click on like the friends button on Android, it's at the top. Then it's just people you're friends with. And if you don't see something you like, you could just not be friends with that person. And then that stuff doesn't show up in your feed anymore. It's great.
Yeah, it's true. You can do that on Instagram too, by the way. If you hit the Instagram icon in the upper left, you can go from like your normal feed to your friends and following.
Yeah.
And it won't give you all those suggested random shit.
Yeah.
You can also, wait, hang on. This is a really good tip.
Oh,
you can also
touch
filter
grass?
the tags. Well, yes, touch grass, get off your phone. But on Instagram, at least, you can put in what hashtags and words you don't want recommended to you. If you simply put AI in there, I get literally no AI generated stuff that's at least obviously AI generated at all.
Oh,
It's amazing. I highly recommend you do that.
Hot
Unless you're
tips.
one of those dorks that loves AI, which is so weird.
yeah. Hot tips.
I'm not even
coming
going to try to sugarcoat that. That's fucking weird.
Yeah, look, guys, you get your social media scrolling tips here at the Lizard Brains podcast.
At the hour and 40-minute mark.
Yep. We're an hour and 30 right now. So I think that'll be a wrap on the show. One thing I didn't add into that is um, sim racing. A lot of it. I'm a big nerd. Uh, I did a ton of sim racing, and at one point I won a ride to go race the car that Tom's racing, and that was fun.
I almost asked you to retell that, but I think you did tell that story on the podcast.
I have,
once,
yeah, I have.
So I didn't rewind. But yeah, I'm curious. You raced the old version when it was on
Toyos.
Toyos and Conies.
No, it was on the Penske's.
It was okay. I'm driving on Hoosiers and Penske's.
Yeah, I think it's the same suspension package as that I drove on.
I don't think so. Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Who cares? Why? Anyway.
Okay, whatever. You ready to end the show, Tom? I think it's me
I
that has
am.
to say it, right?
Yeah, you got to do it.
Okay, I'm doing it. Hey, to all you autocrossers out there that might be offended that I said downgrade, it's not. I love your hair and I hope you win.